Hey guys, we are on page 327, and that's the only page that we're going to do today. We're going to not worry about 328 today. I want you to do all of number 1 and letter C from number 2, letter C. That's all we're going to do today. But you might have noticed it's a little bit more of this long division that we have right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So before, if I had a 2-digit number, it was a number and then 0. So it was something in the tens place, or not tens place, in the tens family. So now we're doing numbers that are not in the tens family, which is fine. We can do that. It's just gonna be it's not really gonna be any different. It's just might trip you up because it looks different, if that makes sense. But the process, the way that we do it, is exactly the same. Like we said before, we have this 21 right here. I'm going to do 21 divided into 294, but I'm not just going to jump into 294. It's a bit much. So let's start with 21 into 2. Can't do that. Cannot do that. 21 times 1, already 21. Number's too big. Let's just put a 0 right there, just for a placeholder. 21 into 29, that's why we have that line drawn above the 29 like that. But instead of doing 21 into 29, let's go ahead and look at that tens place again of this number right here, 2. And then this number over here, also 2. So we're going 2 into 2. Think of it like that. Think of it as 2 into 2. Well, I know 2 will go into 2 one time. So 21 can probably go into 29 only about one time. So let's go ahead and try it. We're going to put a 1 up here. 1 times 21, well, we should know what that is. So let's go ahead and write 21 down here. And we're going to subtract now. 29 minus 21, well, 9 minus 1 is 8. And 2 minus 2 is 0. And 8 is smaller than 21, so it's a good comparison. And now my next step is to do what? Right, we're going to bring this 4 down. So it's not just 8, it's not just 4, it's 84. And I need to make sure I write my 4 correctly. There we go. And now I have 21 into 84. Well, let's not just do 21 into 84. Again, doing big numbers like that sometimes can get a bit overwhelming. So let's try to make it smaller numbers. So again, we're going to look at this 2 right here, just the tens place of 21. And let's look at the tens place of this as well. This is 8 right here. I could even look at that hundreds place, but it's 0. So I could say 0, 8, but that's not any different from a normal 8. So we'll just say 8 for now. 2 into 8. Well, in my mind, I'm going to think, okay, well, how many times will 2 go into 8? How many times will 2 go into 8? Well, I can go 2, 4, 6, 8. That's about 4 times. So 2 will go into 8 4 times. So I can say 21 is probably going to go into 84 about 4 times. So that's just a good guess. So let's go ahead and write that. 4 is going to go above that 4. I'm going to go 4 times 21. I might not know how to do that in my head, so I might write it over here. And you might write it over here as well if you have room. Might just be sometimes it's just like small things like this that help you get through it. So we're going to do 4 times 1 is, of course, 4. And 2 times 4 is 8. So that's 84 right here. We're going to take my answer from this multiplication, write it over here. And 84 gets written there. Next we're going to subtract. And I'm going to do 84 minus 84. Any number minus itself is 0. So 84 minus 84 is 0. And we are not quite done yet. We need to also check my answer. And I have 21, a 2-digit number, multiplied by 14, another 2-digit number. So let's make sure that we get this done correctly. So I'll write over here 21 times 14. Or you could flip it the other way. You're going to get the same answer. Doesn't matter what order you multiply in, it's going to be the same. I just wrote it this way just because why not? So let's go and do that. We're going to start with my ones place over there. Not going to use that 2 at the moment. I'm going to do 1 times the 14. So 1 times 4, 1 times 1. 1 times anything is the same number. So I know 1 times 14 is going to be 14. So I'm going to write a 14 right there. Underneath that 4, I need to write what? A 0. Write a 0 underneath that 4. And now I'm going to use this 2 that I haven't used yet. I'm going to multiply this 2 by this 4. 2 times 4, 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8, right? 8 gets written here. And then I'm going to do 2 times 1. Easily, I know 2 times 1 is 2. And I'm going to add these numbers together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 1 is 9. And 2 plus nothing is 2. My answer down here is 294. Does that number match with this up here? Absolutely. I'm going to say my answer is checked. Okay, so I have this one written down, and you may have noticed I kind of did something a little bit different with the lines above the numbers. This isn't really in the book, but I'm hoping that maybe doing it like this will help us be able to maybe visualize it a little bit better, because my first thing I'm going to do, well, 32 into 6, I know I 0 times, so it'll be 0, 0, 0, 0. But when I try to do 32 into 65, again, it's kind of big numbers. Might be a bit overwhelming at first because like, oh, 32? I don't know my 32 multiplication tables. Well, I don't either. But I know that I can look at this 3, which has a line above it, and this 6, which also has a line above it. And I can say, well, instead of thinking how many times is 32 going to go into 50 or 65, that's a lot, I can't do it, it's too hard. I'm going to say, well, how many times will 3 go into 6? Well, 3 will go into 6 if I count by 3, so we'll go 3, 6. It's only 2 times. So I might say 32 might go into 65 2 times if I were to make a guess. And so far these guesses have been pretty accurate. So let's say 32 will go into 65 2 times. Let's try it. So put a 2 above the 5, and then 2 times 32, well, I might not be able to do that in my head. So let's go ahead and write 32 times 2 over here. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And 64 is what we have. Let's write 64 over here. 64 gets written, and I'm going to minus. Subtraction sign. 5 minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. And 6 minus 6, well, 6 minus 6, of course, is 0. So we'll put 0. And 1 is smaller than 32, so it's a good comparison. And now I'm going to bring down this 2. So now I have 12. Well, think about this. I have this 32 right here. 32. What is 32 times 1? 32 times 1. 32 times 1 is 32. So if I were to count by 32s, 32 times 1 is already going to be over 12. So I know I mentioned this before, like even before we started doing this learning at home, doing math on video. Even before we started doing that, I had told you guys, if you look at this number right here and you're doing this number divided by this number, if this number right here is called my divisor, if my divisor is bigger than the number being divided into, it's automatically going to be 0. So is 32 bigger than 12? Yeah, after you bring down the 2 and the only thing that's left to divide, when you're dividing, if this number right here, my divisor, is bigger than this number down here that I'm dividing by, it's going to be 0. Just like when I divided 32 into 6, 32 is definitely bigger than 6. So that's why it was 0. But 32 is not bigger than 65, so that's why it's not 0. 32, when I'm dividing it right here down here, 32 is much bigger than 12. So it's going to be 0. It will be 0. I'm going to write a 0 up here. And of course, 0 times anything is 0. So it's going to get written down here. 0 times 32 is 0. And I'm going to do 12 minus 0 is 0. No, it's not 0, because that would be multiplying. 12 minus 0 is 12. Anything minus 0 is the same number. Same thing as adding. That's right. That's how math works. Let's go ahead and do the check now. We have, oh, before we do the check, I almost forgot something very important. I have a remainder. Remainder needs to be written up there. Always, always, always. So that's 20 with a remainder 12. And 12 is smaller than 32, so it's a good comparison. So now, let's do the check. We have 20 times this number right here, 32. And I'm going to do 0 times, well, let me stop right there. 0 times anything is going to be 0. 0 times 2, 0 times 3, 0 times 32, 0 times 132, it's going to be 0. So let's just write some zeros right here. 0 times 2 and 0 times 3, 0. Let's do next. What do I need to do next? I need to write another 0. Where? Up here? No, not here. Underneath this 0? No. Underneath this 0. Right there. That's where my next 0 needs to be written. Every time I multiply it by something in the tens place, 0 needs to be written right there. So let's do 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 3, right here. 2 times 3 is 6. Put a 6 right here. We're going to add 640 plus 0. I mean, how much easier can you get in math, right? 640 plus 0 is 640. I mean, that should be easy. And they do not match, which is a problem. But it's a fixable problem because I have not added that remainder. So let's go ahead and add that remainder. So now we have 640 times 12. I wrote something incorrectly though. Did you catch it? What did I write incorrectly in this last part of the problem? Right, this 12 is not written in the correct place value. So what am I going to have to do? Well, let me grab my eraser first. I'm going to have to erase and write the 12 differently. Now the 1 and the 2 were in the correct order, but they were not in the correct place value. So let's go ahead and fix that. The 2 needs to be in the 1s and the 1 needs to be in the 10s. So let's write it that way. 12. Now it is written correctly. So let's go ahead and continue. 0 plus 2 is 0. No, it's not. 0 plus 2, not times 2. I keep getting my multiplying and adding confused today for some reason. 0 plus 2 is 2. So let's write a 2. 1 plus 4 is not 4. It's plussing this time, I remember. 1 plus 4 is 5. And then we have 6 plus nothing is 6. So I have 652, and does that match with this number up here? Absolutely. So I will say this answer is checked. My next problem. You might think to yourself that this one does not look like the problems I was just working on, and you would be correct because now there's only one place value right here. It's just a ones place value. It's just 9. And we should know our 9 multiplication tables, okay? Knowing, of course, our 2 multiplication tables, our 3s, 4s, and 5s, knowing our 6s, 7s, 8s, and of course 9 times 9 is 81, 9 times 10 is 90, 9 times 11 is 99, and 9 times 12 is 108. You should know those. So we should have an easier time with this one. So we have, first of all, 9 will go into 7. Well, 9 will not go into 7. So what am I going to put above the 7? Hopefully you said a 0 because that's what it is. 0. So now I'm not just looking at 9 into 7. I'm looking at 7 and the next digit over, 7, 0, that would be 70. 9 will go into 70. How many times? Well, I know 9 times 9 is 81, so let's go back. 9 times 8. I have 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 9 is 72. 72 is still bigger than 70, so it's not going to work. So let's keep going. Let's go back even another one, even more. So 8 times 9 didn't work, so 7 times 9, let's try that. So let's start at 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 9 is 63, hopefully is what you said. 63 is smaller than 70, so that should work. So let's do 9, we'll go into 70 7 times. Let's try that. So we have a 7 going above the 0, and then I'm going to do 7 times 9, which we just said was 63. Subtract. 0 minus 3 is, I can't do it. So what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to borrow from that 7. 7 is going to become a 6, right? And I'm going to put a 1 right here, and now we have 10. 10 minus 3, now I can do that. 10 minus 3 is 7. And 6 minus 6, of course, is 0. Is 7 smaller than 9? Absolutely. Now I'm going to bring down my 8. The 78 is definitely bigger than 9, so we can divide that. 7 will go into 78. Well, I remember I said something about 70. I said 6 times 9 is 60, or 7 times 9 is 63. I think I need to go higher than that, because this is 78. That's almost 80. So let's try 7 times 8, is what we said before. 7 times 8, so we have 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 9 is 72. 72 looks like it might work. If I go one more than 7 times, or I'm sorry, not 7 times 8, 9 times 8, I know 9 times 9 is 81. 81 is too big. So let's try 7, or not 7. This is the 9, not a 7. 9 times 8, or 9 will go into 78 8 times. 8 is going to go above that 8. 8 times 9, we just said is 72. 72 is going to go right here. And I have 8 minus 2. What is 8 minus 2? 8 minus 2 is 6. And 7 minus 7, we should know that one. 7 minus 7 is 0. And is 6 smaller than 9? Absolutely. Now I'm going to bring down the 8. No. I already brought down the 8. I cannot bring down that 8 again. So make sure you're not doing that on your problems. You don't want to do that. But we can bring down this 3. Now I have 63. Did I not multiply a number earlier times 9 and get 63? What number did I multiply by 9 to get 63? It looks like I did that 7. So 7 times 9 is 63. So how many times will 9 go into 63? 63 divided by 9? Let's try 7. It looks like it might work. 7 is going to go up here above the 3. 7 times 9. What is 7 times 9? We just said earlier. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 9 is 63. Goes right there. Subtract. 63 minus 63 is 0. And I don't need to put a remainder up there because I don't have any number as a remainder. So make sure you put this as your answer. And you also want to do your check. I won't do your check with you because it's just 787 times 9. I know that you will be able to do that on your own. And I know that you'll be able to do letter D on your own as well. So go ahead and check this problem and make sure you do letter D on your own as well, including the check for that problem. something I want to maybe show you with this problem. If I had, maybe I am, okay, sorry, blah, blah, blah. Something I kind of wanted to maybe show you with this kind of problem, and this is probably more easy to see if like this number wasn't here, if it was just 2 digits by 2 digits, but I think the concept will maybe carry over a little bit. If I were to draw an imaginary line, now this line of course is not going to be in your books or anything, and this isn't really anything in the books at all, but this was something when I was learning this kind of multiplication that helped me a lot. And you guys know, I've told you how much I used to struggle with math when I was your age, but this was something that helped me a lot when I was learning this kind of multiplication, and hopefully it can help you too. So what I would do was, whenever I would multiply a number, I would draw a line from that number to the number multiplied. So for example, the first thing I need to do is 8 times 2. So I would draw a line from 8 to 2 to show that they were multiplying with each other. Well, I know 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 6 down here. And then I would say, okay, well, what numbers do I need to multiply next? Well, I need to multiply this 8 times this 0. So 8 times 0, of course, is 0. And I have this 1 that's carried. 0 plus 1 is 1. So I'm going to put 1 down here. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to multiply this 8 times this 9. So you see how I went 8 and I hit each number that I multiplied. And it kind of visually kind of shows you that you're multiplying these numbers. So I did 8 times 2, 8 times 0, now 8 times 9, 8 times 9. Well, we said 8 times 8 is 64, 8 times 9 is 72, is hopefully what you said. And I'm already done with that first number. Well, now I need to do this 4 right here. I need to do the same order that I just did with that 8. I'm not multiplying 4 and 8, but the same numbers that I just multiplied by 8 now need to be multiplied by 4. So I'm going to take this 4, I'm going to multiply it by that 2. So 4 times 2. I forgot something. For shame, for shame. I forgot. Very important detail. 0 must always be written beneath this 1's place right there. Okay, let's continue on. 4 times 2, like I said, I just drew a line. Multiply 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. I do not need this carried 1, but I do still have that 4 times 2 is 8. 8 will be written right there. Now I will do 4 times the number right above it, 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 is written right there. And now I will do 4 times this 9. 4 times 9, well, if I count by 4s, it'll be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. So 36 will get written right there. And let's go ahead and add these numbers together. Add them together. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 1 is 9. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 6 is, what is 7 plus 6? 13. Carry the 1. And 3 plus the carried 1 is 4. So my answer is 43,296. I hope that showing you a little bit with the drawing lines to the number being multiplied helped you more than it maybe confused you. And on Monday, when we come back in the classroom, I definitely want to review going over some of these things that we went over, that we learned for the first time on video, because I know sometimes learning it on video with just a book in front of you and a video telling you what to do doesn't always help you as much as it could. So I definitely, when we get back into the classroom on Monday, We want to go over these things so that we can know them very, very, very well before we leave school for the rest of the school year. So I will see you guys on Monday. I'm really, really excited to see you guys. And that's probably the last of it with these videos.